All right, peace and much love, ZIN URU here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minister. Welcome y'all here. Let's start off there. I want to welcome y'all here sincerely from my heart to your heart, a warm heart and love and gratitude. And what a day to be alive. What a peaceful breath of life that life actually is. And for those of us who tune into the very nature of our reality, the very nature of our Creator as the creation itself, the very nature of our eternal being, we can find this stillness in life, this peace in life that has to be experienced, really experienced, and to be lived. And this week's message from the Minister is a part 3 of a 3-part series that began 6 weeks ago. It was planned to be a 3-week, 1, 2, 3 in a row weeks. But it ended up being that there was a week skipped between part 1 and 2 and between part 2 and 3. And that's the way life presented itself. And so this week, as I've been meditating, what is the message from the Minister going to be called? The title of it, part 3, with all the changes I've been through personally this past, week. And also the nature of what we're reading in the Gospel of Hip Hop, the seventh sense, the seventh overstanding, the seventh sense. This is part 3 of that. It was very profound. I kept having this feeling in my heart, this knowing in my heart, and it just kept working its way down and out and upwards, and it passed through my throat first, and then it went into my mind. And it was this, it's that life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. And that title came out, and I was like, wow, that's pretty dope. That's the giving and receiving of nature. That's the creator and created. It's the wholeness. It's the oneness of being the experience itself and having the experience itself, Like we are this experience itself. This experience is us. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. This is part 3. And if those of you who, go back, I'm looking forward to going back actually, because what I've experienced this past week between the, part 2 and part 3 has been profound. And, part 1 was called Be at One with Yourself, the source, energy, life, force. And we talked about what that source, energy, life, force is. We talked about the crystallographic nature of reality, how Dr. Bruce Lipton calls it the morphogenetic field, this living, breathing matrix of creation that we're in, the actual true love, light, rainbow light of God. And then we talked about how there's these other false matrices of creation where it's government and schools, and they trap you in with the news and the TV, and now it's trying to be the metaverse and the digital reality. And we talked about that, so I'm not going to really get into that this week, because that was for that lesson. Because the real piece of that part 1, be at one with yourself, was that we're not part of that world. We're part of, intelligent movement springing forward. We're a hip hop. We're a hip to our hop. And so being part of our hip to our hop is knowing the nature of the reality and the creation that we live in. And it's amazing. This is like this garden of earth and life. It's amazing. It's a miracle. Every piece of it, every struggle, every fear, every doubt, every victory, all of it I am. And part 2 we talked about was awake in the dream. We talked about how that we are dreaming this reality into existence, that our true breath enters into the body, enters into this crystallographic matrix of water, this water matrix, and enters into this body as the breath of life, as the consciousness of life. And that when we lose breath, we lose consciousness. When we run out of breath, we lose consciousness. Therefore, our breath is that consciousness that we are. So being a human being, we're not even this body that we identify with. We're the breath of life. We're the breath that inhales and exhales out the body. Right? And then now here we are, part 3. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. Why are we experiencing this greater crystallographic grid and then this interpersonal crystallographic grid that's really about how we feel inside, what we see inside, the lessons that we learn from the inside. And the outside is the greatest teacher of them all. Like the inner is the knower. The inner is the ultimate teacher. The inner is the ultimate God and guide and the Christ within. That's the ultimate. But being here in this reality of what we call life, self, source, energy, life force, while we're here in this experience that we're experiencing, we're learning lessons. The lessons are learning us too. But we're learning lessons. And what is the lesson? Life is the lesson. And the lesson is life. The breath of life that enters our body, that's the lesson. And I feel like, I feel like when we're younger, we kind of look at older, the older generation and think, oh, they must have had it figured out, in some way, shape, or form. And that we go through life and we learn these lessons, but we learn this series of lessons, and then we get to this plateau, and then we just stop learning lessons, and then it's just, we've got all our SHIT together, as people would say. And, I've never known nobody really like that. I guess I could say I have, but we start vibrating faster and moving past those who get to a certain level, and then they stay there because they're comfortable. They stay at that certain level because they're comfortable in life. And, the teacher one time said, he said, hell is very comfortable. Slavery is very comfortable. And he would say this publicly, but I remember specifically, it was just a few of us were just sitting there having breakfast one day after a show the night before. And he was saying, gentlemen, remember this, that hell is very comfortable. And that slavery is very comfortable. So don't get comfortable with this lifestyle. Don't get comfortable with any lifestyle. Challenge yourself to grow, to be better, and to, and we, most people looking at that time, or at any time looking at, KRS-One, like, oh, look how successful he is. All the platinum albums, and he's written his own books, and he's lecturing, and he's touring the world, and he's got a great family and all that, But here's this dude who's got this list of accomplishments that he could sit on, but he was still challenging himself. He was still saying, I got so much more to do. I got more books to write. I've got more light to give. We've got more hip hop to preserve. And that's how the I am hip hop philosophy came about. Because we cannot be content with who we are at any given. And self-acceptance is the key. The self-acceptance is the key. But part of the self-acceptance is that I accept that I'm not content. I accept that, but I know why now. I know why. Because being content is comfortable, and I don't like being comfortable. Yeah, I like being comfortable. I got a memory foam bed, to sleep on. That's nice. I get a good solid night's sleep. Being comfortable in just repeated patterns of life and doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. We talked about this last week with Brandon Lee, the late great Brandon Lee's quote about that when we come to something new, when we come to something new in our lives, we tend to approach it with trepidation. Most people approach it with trepidation because we're reduced to like a child at that site. It's like, oh, I don't know about this. I have to learn something new here. And so what most people do is they stay in their comfort zone of every experience. They know what it's going to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of time. They know what the result's going to be, as opposed to not knowing what the result's going to be, but still going forward anyway. And that led into that reading that night of, as the breath and as we wake up to life circumstances, that some people awake in the dream. We wake up in this dream reality, that life is but a dream. We wake up in this dream. Some people do it because of traumatic life circumstances. Some do it through deep meditation. Others do it at their time of passing. And wow, what an experience that is. What an experience this is, that one of those ways is going to happen. You're going to see it. The truth is going to reveal itself sooner or later. And that's the miracle in and of itself. That's like the miracle of perfection right there. And so, wow, man, you know, we were talking about the breadth of life. We're talking about where we live and what life is. And then also that there's something beyond this life. That our breath goes somewhere when it leaves this body. And I'm here to tell you that, like, it does. I witnessed it this week. That's why there was a break between these messages from the ministers. My dad passed away here at home. And, you know, we were here. Myself and my mom were here. We had an inkling that it was happening. God had revealed it, you know, about 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, so it was, you know, well after this series of Message from the Minister had started about this particular subject, the seventh sense and the seventh, you know, the seventh overstanding, the seventh sense, and life and death, you know, really. And so, you know, he passed, and all of this time and this energy to be here for that moment, really, for that moment right there. And it was a great metaphor. You know, when he passed, he knew he was loved. When he passed, and I say passed, but I want to say this. He crossed the rainbow bridge. He crossed the rainbow bridge. I know because I saw it. I saw the rainbow bridge open up. I saw the benefactor, the rainbow hand reach down and grab my dad's hand and lead him across the rainbow bridge into the rainbow kingdom of crystal light energy, rainbow light energy. It's the most amazing, and it was a glimpse. I just caught a glimpse of it, but forever changed by it. I mean, it was amazing to witness and watch and be participate in. And it gave me a great perspective this week because I was like, yo, there's a lesson here. And the lesson is that I didn't know really what that was going to be. And this is for all of us because those who are watching this is an experience not knowing, but going forward anyways. What's the faith? You know, what's the faith? If we're walking in faith, a lot of times we don't know what we're walking into. We might think we have an idea, but it's like the idea is presenting itself as we're walking. You know, the trail is presenting itself as we're walking. The story is presenting itself as we're reading, as we're living the story. And so, like, you know, 6 weeks ago when this started, it had been months since he had a little spell there, but it didn't look like, you know, we have a hospice nurse come in every week and check him and everything. There was no, like, you know, it looked like he had a while to go. But then things, you know, as this lesson was teaching itself, things started escalating. And so at that moment, I was like, wow, there's a big lesson here, right? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you right now, tonight, I'm going to give you what that lesson is. I'm learning the lesson. It's the medicine bundle is still unfolding. You know, the gift is still being unwrapped, you know, of that experience, of that rainbow bridge experience. Because that's the crystallographic nature. That's the light of God. That's where we live. That's the eternal kingdom heaven of perfection. Like, yo, for real, like that's a real word. Yo, thank you, God. Thank you, God. You know, everywhere. All of it I am. You know, thank you, God, for that experience. And thank you, Dad, for that experience. Like, you know, let's just, as my nobility, as my witness, thank you, Dad, for that experience. I'm so grateful that I got to be the facilitator in that moment. And that's why I'm so full of joy, because I watched my dad go into the kingdom of heaven, into the, you know, back into the light of all I am of God. You know, and it was amazing, and it was brief, and it happened. But there was this moment where, like, the enlightenment came for him, and I was there to witness it. His breath had started becoming very relaxed, right? He had been really struggling, you know. I'm not going to get into details with his whole struggle, but, you know, he had been struggling, but, you know, he had been breathing really good. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm looking at him, and he just, like, the Spirit took over, and he just started breathing. And I saw his body, like all the aches and the pains just leave. And he just got really relaxed. And it was like that for like 9 hours. It was just him at peace, breathing. And when he left, I was like excited, I was like, yo, well done, well done. You experienced peace on earth, peace in earth. Like, it was amazing. But that was the breath. He couldn't hear anymore. He wasn't thinking anymore. There may have been a little registry, but like the normal things, he wasn't registering anymore. He was just breathing, and you could see the look on his face and his eyes, the look in his eyes that were seeing the kingdom of heaven open before him. And the peace of existing here while seeing what's already here, what's already present. We don't go somewhere. Heaven is a place we grow to. We're growing to heaven. And as in the beginning of the seventh sense, we talk about we are seeds planted in this dark world, and that we really sprout at our time of what we call death. We sprout, we spring forward, we hop forward. We're hipping and hopping. We're getting hip, that's the lesson, and we're hopping, that's the life. And so watching that breath and then watching the seed, the shell, being inanimate afterwards was the greatest gift I could have ever received. And all of the frustrations and hard times and not knowing of the past almost 4 years now, really the past 4 years, all culminated to this like crescendo, like it's just this movement of music, and then it's just coming up to this crescendo, and that moment, that moment of life. And this is how life is for all of us. That moment of this for me was a small moment, but this was for my dad, his great moment. For all of us, when we leave the body, it's that great moment. It's that moment, it's the miracle of life. It's the crescendo of their life. And it can happen sooner for some and later for others and everything in between. And who are we to judge that? Who are we to judge any of the experience? Who are we? I mean, for real. We can ask questions of love and light and be like, yo, God, what's going on? Show me, God. I just, I surrender to that. And we have these other experiences in life that are the same way, because this is how life presents itself, is that like, we talked about this months ago, like the energy of growing food, like let's say 1 carrot, and how much energy and time goes into growing 1 carrot. Say like a carrot that's like 8 inches, an 8-inch carrot growing out of the ground. How many months that takes, 3-4 months, how much water that takes, how much soil and nutrition and time really that takes to be picked up, cleaned off, and eaten. And that carrot can be eaten in a matter of less than a minute. Somebody could eat that carrot in like 30 seconds, right? And all that energy, 3 months to grow that carrot, gone in 30 seconds. Or there's like going to an amusement park as a kid. Like I remember going to an amusement park as a kid, and the anticipation of 2 hours in line waiting for a roller coaster ride. And then the roller coaster ride's just a minute long or 90 seconds long or whatever it is, a few minutes, couple minutes, I don't know what it is. But it's a short, the experience itself is short, but the preparation, the waiting, the period, the patience period, is the payoff was the ride itself. And we see this in athletes, we see this in like UFC fighters. It's too violent. It's just, it's violent, but these, a pro boxer or, whatever, these guys train for months and months and months, and then they get in, and it may be only a 40-second fight, or it may be at the most a 15-minute, like a full fight. But that's it. That's it. Of all those months of training and energy for that moment. And it's this experience that we have. It's the micro and the macro. It's happening in little ways, like our energy, and then gone. Gone. Cellular energy, chi energy. We're always replenishing and restoring and moving, and we're shedding skin and we're shedding cells, and we're Dr. Deepak Chopra back in Ages body, timeless mind, talked about how, I believe it was 10 years or 7 years, I don't remember exactly, but either way, that every cell in our body is changed within like a 7-year period of time. Like we're physically not even the same person we were 7 years ago. And this body is always inhabiting and moving around. And this body, as we'll read tonight, has its own intelligence, its own light energy. And that's why it's like the wisest teachers you'll hear in the world or in earth will say, like, listen to your body. Listen to your body and speak to your body. Tell your kidneys you love them. I love you, kidneys. You do a great job. Hey, whole body, let's cheer for the kidneys. Woo! Go kidneys, go kidneys, go kidneys. Whoa! You know, like, oh, heart, we love you, heart. The hands, the eyes, the brain, every body and cell of my body loves my heart. Thank you, heart, for beating and pumping your blood through us. Oh, blood, we love you. You know, like acknowledging the body. As we listen to it, we can talk to the body too. If it's aching, say, hey, yo, knee, I know you're feeling it right now. Knee, you're really sore right now. Like, yo, hey, whole body, let's just give knee some love right now. And you can imagine like a glowing orb of healing light energy around your knee and sending love to your knee. You know, this is how we speak to our body, and we can listen to our body. Yo, body, what you need? Like, you feel a little anxious right now. You feel a little nervous right now, you know? And I had this experience this week with that, not even knowing that this was what was going to be read, right? I wasn't thinking about, you know, we know, but subconsciously, my consciousness wasn't there. The other night, you know, Dad passes, you know, you got this lifetime with this angel or being or what ancestor now, you know, this rainbow light being, you know, watching him, you know, as he, you know, became, you know, one minute he's dad and the next minute it's like, oh, you know, but it's funny, you know, but it's a moment of joy for me, but there's also a moment of sadness, right? And I cried, and you know, the passing, and you know, and the other night though, well, not even the other night, like you know, just a couple nights after it happened, a song I heard or a memory I had, I got real sad, right? And I laid down and I was just like thinking about it. I was talking to the sadness within me. I was like talking to the sorrow. I was like, sorrow, why are you feeling sorrow, or why are you feeling sad? And this is the whole message from the Minister. Life isn't the lesson is life. We'll read tonight. We got other things, but this is the key right here. So I'm laying there like talking to the sadness. Why are you sad? Well, Dad passed and da-da-da. I was like, yeah, but we saw like we there's nothing but joy because we saw like what his light body being, his rainbow light body being is. Like wow. Like, you know, like there's nothing but joy. Job well done, dude. You know, like what? And then I was sitting there and I was like, it's not a heart. It's not in my soul. My soul's good. My soul's at peace. My spirit is feeling the joy. And then it was the body. I found out it was the body that was sad. The physical body itself, the energy body, the water body, this is what we call matter. This body, my physical body, what we call the physical body, was sad. And I was like, so body, why are you so sad? And the body's like, you're going to leave me one day. I was like, oh. And I thought, I just wanted to share that with my nobility out there because that was like, we feel sadness sometimes because our physical body is sad because it knows that the spirit, the breath, is going to leave it one day, right? And when the physical body is afraid of death because it's not the spirit that's afraid of dying, it's the physical body that's afraid of dying and it's afraid of dying because it loves the indwelling spirit. We're animating this body. We are like this incredible consciousness that we experience, that the breath experiences in this physical body, this water body really, this liquid light energy water body. And the body itself really appreciates and loves this experience too. And the spirit really loves and appreciates this experience too when they're in harmony, when we're in harmony with ourselves and our oneness and our wholeness and we're awake in the dream. And then we would say, oh, life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. Word. And so as I was sitting there with my body, I was like, well, you know what, body? That's very interesting, because I don't think you should be sad, physical body. In fact, I think that the greatest release is for the physical body. Right? That's the spirit. We go back into our eternal life body, but this jewel of an experience, this momentary experience and gift. Why else would we come back here? Why else would you wait in line again and go through all that heat and time waiting in line to go on a ride that only lasts for a couple minutes, if that? You know? But this experience is not to just be had whimsically or unconsciously, but to live deliberately. That's being hip to our hop. That's intelligent movement springing forward. When we know this time here isn't a gift for the physical, it's a gift for the spirit. And really, it's a gift for both. But our spirit always being discontent, thinking things should be the way it demands, wanting things to be different all the time, is missing the point, because it's trying to dominate the physical as opposed to being in harmony with this loving nature that loves us so much that this earth gives us a body, a water body, so valuable that nobody can live. Nobody. It's those who, when we're in our right state of being, we would never sell this for anything or for anyone or for any, because we're here to experience God like this. And as the physical body was going through this sadness, I'm talking to the sadness of the physical body, about the spirit leaving, the indwelling spirit leaving. I thought of, as just a moment, I thought of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and I've watched all the Star Trek shows. I'm not, I've seen them all. But my favorite character of all the Star Trek, and I've got a few, but like my favorite of all time is this guy Odo. I'll put his picture up here. And he's the most abstract being, because he's like this outcast and he doesn't know where he came from, but he can liquefy. He's like liquid, then he can shift and morph into, any object. He's like water. He's be water, my friend. He's water. He's like this liquid. But I'll put a scene up here if I can find one on YouTube, but I'll probably just describe it is like as liquid, like he finally finds his people, after years of searching, a lifetime of searching, and he finds out that as this liquid, he goes back into this like ocean of other beings. And they're all this one being, this giant liquid being. I thought, I was grateful for that, whoever wrote that or created that, because the body, the physical eyes, had seen this idea through Star Trek, right? And my favorite character, Odo, boom. And all of a sudden, the body realized, I was like, yo, body, that's what really happens. Like, the body is dissolved back into the earth ocean, the matrix of the earth, the organic earth matrix. The body becomes one with it all again. That's the oneness. And that's all of it. It's like Odo, to go a little deeper, experienced what they called the link, which would be, I don't like the word link because that gets into like, well, nowadays the word link, people maybe think neural net link but it's an organic living link between all of his people across time and space where they're interconnected with one another. What one does affects the wholeness of creation, the wholeness of their consciousness. And so our physical body is still in tune with the great electromagnetic earth ocean that's existing all around us. It's in tune with that while still hosting the indwelling spirit, the persona, the sound of God, us. And now here we are inhabiting this body, having this experience. Also, we're interconnected across all time and space, in spirit. This is a mystical event, every moment of it. That's why there's really, there are mystical events that really blow your mind, but that's for God to get your attention, get our attention, right? But really, every moment is a mystical, it's just all mystical. Like the fact that creation exists, the fact that we're having this experience, the fact that we're breath, the fact that we're spirit, the fact that we can see a rainbow bridge and see somebody's spirit leave their body and turn into a giant rainbow bird. That's the truth. That's the real nature. All of their little digital lies and deceptions and all this that they're trying to do, it's temporary. Its very nature is temporary. I said like the New World Order's birthright is failure. Like their birthright is failure. Ours is victory. You know, and one of my favorite things teacher used to say and always remind people of is, take a look around, because not everybody in this room is going to make it. And quite frankly, ain't everybody going to make it. I've been surprised at those who literally fell off and are no more. Not dead. That's different, but just. So life is the lesson, and it will keep repeating the lesson until we learn the lesson. And some of those lessons cause some people to have to recycle again and again and again and reincarnate again and again because they're just stubborn and they don't want to learn the lesson. I'll say I've been there, I'm sure, I don't know. But I do know this, in this life, the temporary experiences I've had of people I've loved, of events that were just the most cherished to me, and then to have those gone. And be like, yo, life is still moving. I'm still learning a lesson. There's still a lesson to be learned here. Like, oh, what's up? Oh, this is difficult. Oh, but when the tough get going, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yo, that's some masculine wisdom right there. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. What? That ain't probably popular to say in 2022, but those who feel it and know it, when the tough get going, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. When there's something you got to do, you got to do it. And you don't think about like, what's the reward for this? You don't think about, oh, what do I get out of this? Now, there are such, you have to think about what it is that we're actually doing, why we're doing it. But when it comes to like duty and it comes to responsibility and it comes to those things in life that are like family, and that's the war. That's their war, is against the family. It may be a war against God. It may be a war on God, but what is God? Family. And how many people are really experiencing actual family? You know? Why would the powers that want to be, why would that systematic want to take away the family from people and what it means to be a husband or a wife or a mother or a father or a grandmother or a grandfather or a sister or a brother? Why would they want to take that away from us? Why? I'll tell you why. Because that's the foundation of our power. When you talk in nation building, you talk in family. Talk to Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Louis Minister Farrakhan. Talk to him. What does he preach about family and the empowerment of family and the righteousness of what a family is? And there's a divine order to family that most people, what they even call family, are ignoring right now. I'm talking about what God intended family to be. What the Creator intends family to be. And our duty to one another as family, as brothers, as sisters. You know, we all have a purpose. We have a reason we're here. We all have something that we do that nobody else can fulfill for us. That God put us here for that purpose, and we know what it is. We may be ignoring it, we may be confused by it, or we may be living it. But when we're living it, I'll tell you, most of the time, it's that faith walk. It's the walking forward knowing that you're walking into the unknown. But as you move forward and walk into the unknown, because remember, we talk about this all the time, that they call it the law of attraction and this, that, and the other, but that's only limited to our experience and our imagination. But there's this infinite experience and this infinite imagination that can think of things that we would have never thought of. They can put us in circumstances we would have never visualized for ourselves. And that's the letting go and letting God. That's that faith walk. When we walk forward in that faith, in this faith, the knowing, okay, I'm walking forward in the unknown, but then all of a sudden in that unknown, you see the hand of God. You see the rainbow bridge. And it may be just a moment. You catch that glimpse, woo, you're waiting in line, woo, and then you woo, and then it's done. But that woo, wow, that was crazy. Oh, you talk about it for weeks afterwards. You talk about it longer than waiting in line. You don't talk about the waiting in line part. You may say, oh, we waited in line for 2 hours. It was crazy. A fight broke out. I got gum on my shoe. You know, I had to take a leak, but I couldn't lose my place. All kind of things, right? But it's all about the experience itself. It's passing along the experience itself. It's all about that moment. And you know, it's like a moment of seeing the light and a moment of perfection. I didn't want to call it enlightenment, because enlightenment's almost different. Like, there's little moments of enlightenment, but it's just seeing perfection at that moment and experiencing it. And that key of the unknown, and that key of moving forward, and then having God reveal when God's ready to reveal, it's like, wow, okay, more please, but now I'm no rush, because I know what it means to get to these moments. You know, we know what it means to get to those moments, those really nourishing moments, those really truly empower. There's those lesson moments where the culmination, that crescendo, you know, we get a few of those. So there's no rush is the point. But it's important, and I want to swing back to, you know, be at one with ourselves. Be at one with yourself, to lesson 1 for a moment. Because while all of that's happening, this is where discipline becomes it's like discipline is your best friend. This is how you know discipline is our best friend. Because while it's happening, man, that discipline was like, yo, man, the dietary discipline, the exercising, going for walks, getting out in nature, meditating, praying, taking care and handling business, not procrastinating, you know. Making sure the body's nourished, making sure the body fasts, making sure the body gets rest, making sure the body's working out, doing the yoga, lifting the weights, whatever that is, that day-to-day discipline. That's how you get through whatever the circumstance is. That's the only way to get through. Oh, it's not the only way. It's the easiest way. It's crazy how easy discipline actually makes life. Because I think people think it's hard, right? Oh, I got to do these push-ups and I got to do that. But then it's like, okay, for the few minutes, it's like life is the lesson, the long journey, and then the lesson. The lesson is that quick, but the lesson is life is that going through this time, but you do a quick, 20 minutes of push-ups and sit-ups or whatever, or you do a 40-minute walk around the block. That can last for 20 hours. That can charge you for the next 20 hours until it's time to do again. And that's, life is the lesson, is the culmination, the waiting, the standing in line, and then the roller coaster. And then the lesson is life, is that we have these long experiences, but it's those little things that we do that we may not like say, oh, I really wanted to go and do my push-ups today. And it's like, no, I've got to be disciplined to do the push-ups today. And I'm pumping the blood and my muscles are staying strong. And when I'm able to pick up Dad and move him around a lot easier, and my body feels good and strong, all of that for ourselves, that discipline right there, and then the discipline of thought of not getting caught up in despair, not getting caught up in anything else, just getting caught up in God. Just being like, all right, God is all that there is. That's all that this is God, experiencing God. Let's go. That's a discipline too. The thought, the heart, the heart being warm. That's a discipline too. All that goes into it. But while we're going through these times in life, whether it's the rainy season or the sunny season, whether it's the season for growth or the season for harvest, whatever is snow on the ground or sun in the sky, or whatever it is, okay? Discipline for all of that. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life, always performing discipline. Okay? Because it's like building up to the event, discipline. And then after the event, discipline. The exercise, the movement, because when the juices in the body and the chi of the body is moving around healthy, the thoughts are moving healthy, the heart energy, the emotions, all of that is moving in a healthy direction. And it's not easy to get, but as over time, those of you who are younger, as you go over time and you master certain things through the art, through the performance, the divine performance of discipline, you'll start realizing that I could literally talk to my body and it answers, and I know exactly how to speak to my body. I know exactly how to just take a breath and just have the heart get warmer instantly. I know exactly how to clear the mind in an instant. I know exactly how to calm any situation or environment I'm in just by breathing. That takes discipline and that takes time. But that's our natural nature. That's who we are. And that's how we want to move through life while we're learning these lessons and while these lessons are learning us. I want to read from the Gospel of Hip Hop. If you guys got a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop here, you can turn to, let's see, what page are we on? We are in the seventh overstanding, the seventh sense, paragraph 67 on page 347. Paragraph 67 on page 347. Know this, everything is God. If it exists, it is God and it is aware. All that your senses perceive is intelligent and aware at some level. The challenge for many is that through undisciplined, see right there, and unrighteous living in maturity, they come to believe through guilt that they cannot expect to command the intelligent forces of the universe and nature. We expect nature to govern us, and so it does. And just as certain adults will not share certain information with certain children, so it is with the many manifestations of God towards immature human animals. And as this philosophy goes, this will help you see what's going on with the rest of the world, with the rest of the people you know. And that you're vibrating different now. Your consciousness is different. Your consciousness is shifting. Your sight is growing. Your sight is maturing now. That's what this is about. Through undisciplined and immature living, the intelligence of the spiritual realm and nature itself stops communicating with the immature. Such immaturity cannot be trusted. And see, undisciplined and immature living, this is where discipline, right here. Because being undisciplined is being immature, and such immaturity cannot be trusted. So sometimes people can't see what you see as a spirit being simply because God can't trust them with that information or that knowledge or that sight. So be mindful. Everything is intelligent and aware of you. You simply may not be aware of the intelligence that flows through everything. Our physical body is intelligent. It is an effect of light energy, yet we seldom speak to that. We just talked about that. Talking to the physical body. Help ease its fears. The physical body is younger than the spiritual body. That's why you are the light of your world. You are the light of your physical body. Talk to the physical body. Listen to it. Love it. Nourish it. Treat it right. And it will treat you right. Your material possessions, your ideas, sickness, health, poverty, wealth, as well as the circumstances of your life are all intelligent beings caused by the effects of conscious light energy. An energy that you can communicate with because your own mind is made active by the same intelligence. You see that? It's all wholeness. It's the oneness. It's that. You are the body and the body is you. For when you fully realize, expect, the reality itself is one intelligence moving and manifesting thinking in a variety of ways, and you are one of the ways in which it is thinking, moving, and being, you shall speak to the oneness of all reality with a certain confident expectancy, and it shall respond to you. For when you truly realize that there really are no separate spaces, you shall appear everywhere. And when you truly realize that there really is no such thing as time for you, you shall reinterpret your own past for yourself and create the future that you desire for yourself now. And when you truly realize that everything is conscious at some level, you shall seek to learn the secret language that communicates to all light. Pause there for a moment. Take this in. When you truly realize that everything is conscious at some level, you shall seek to learn the secret language that communicates to all light. This is what it means to live beyond your immediate time and space. Such concepts as separate things, times, and spaces are indeed illusions. Try to adopt this understanding. Say to yourself, I am hip-hop. Such a realization frees me from the restraints of separate things, times, and spaces, because hip-hop itself is beyond separate things, times, and spaces. This is why hip-hop affects everything and can be applied to anything. It is an idea of divine mind. Through affirmation, visualization, and practice, I have adjusted my consciousness to the identity of hip-hop itself. I have given up the ethnicity that I was taught to be, and I have united with a timeless, formless, and spaceless intelligence called, for political identity, hip-hop. And look at that, the ethnicity that I was forced taught to be. Rise up, hip hoppa. Define yourself. Who are you? How do you define you? For the ancient statement, as the man thinketh, so is he, is indeed true. Again, try to adopt this understanding. Say to yourself, I am the activity and survival of hip hop itself. The collective consciousness, intelligence that is called hip hop will not allow me to be defeated. As long as my challenges rely upon intelligence for their existence and survival, I shall never be challenged. As hip hop itself, I move and think much faster than those who are performing hip hop's artistic elements. Any battle or challenge within hip hop is simply me battling or challenging some aspect of myself. I move and do things much faster in the material world because speed is a concept that comes with distance, time, and separate places. And for us, there are no separate places. We are already there. Adopt this understanding of hip hop. Yo, my nobility. How do we move so fast? Because we know there's no such thing as time and space. Vibrate. That's intelligent movement. The vibration, the hipping and the hopping. Vibration is hip hop. Hip hop is vibration. Oh, wait till you read my book. It's being written right now. Wake up, hip-hopia. Your role as a hip-hoppa, I said hip-hopia, but I'll wake up, hip-hoppa. Your role as, I'm just laughing. Wake up, hip-hopia, please. Wake up, hip-hopia, my nobility. Wake up, hip-hopia. Wake up, hip-hoppa. Your role as a hip-hoppa is a divine decision. See that decision? Your challenge is to finally believe in yourself. Source energy, life force. You are more than just a rapper, dancer, or graphic artist. You are an idea of divine mind choosing to perform such activities. And all of existence knows this except you. At some point, you must put aside the immaturity of fear and doubt and move at the speed of your own thoughts. At some point, your thinking, acting, and being must come into harmony with one another. At some point, you must be the total you. This is an act of spiritual maturity. The hip-hopper who thinks one way, feels another way, and acts yet another way is spiritually immature. At some point, you must decide to be what you say that you are and do what you say that you do. Maturity or adulthood is when one has made the decision to live as one perceives one's self. If you perceive yourself to be a hip-hopper, but you are living a life contrary to hip-hop, then it is your own immaturity, doubt that stagnates your life. If you perceive within yourself that you are a minister, a teacher, a prophet, a man or woman of God, then you must bring your perception of yourself and your daily activities into harmony with one another. See that, my nobility? Harmony. It's a beautiful word, harmony. That's multiple voices. These are multiple sounds that you're expressing. These are multiple dimensions of our being we're expressing, and that's what we're bringing into harmony with one another. You cannot feel like a prophet, yet talk like a pimp. You cannot feel like an MC, yet spend your day working a 9-to-5 job. At some point, there will be conflict between the true nature of your being and the activities of your physical body in the world, and this process is not easy. This is why spiritual training is so important. Such training helps you to center and balance the activities of your mind and body toward the spirit. And training, that's discipline. Spiritual training is discipline. That's part of it. See your discipline as spiritual training. To me, it's even a more empowering state of sight there. Spiritual training. Whether it's the spiritual training, the physical body, or spiritual training, the emotional body, or spiritual training, the soul body, the heart center, whatever that is, that spiritual training is so important because such training helps you to center and balance the activities of your mind and body toward the spirit. For if you instruct your body to do something and the body is unwilling or has something more pressing to do, such a body instantly becomes your prison, even your master. And this is the state that many people live within daily. They say, I know that I'm a very talented MC, as an example, and I would truly like to only do this with my life. In my heart, I want to live this. But then the circumstances of the physical world operating upon the physical body have such a person following the desires, cravings, fears, and doubts of the physical body as opposed to fearlessly following the truth of his being, which is not physical at all. My nobility, the truth of your being is not physical at all. The truth of our being is not physical at all. Get this. This is it. We are the spirit. Know this. If you are to achieve anything in this world, this is what people get afraid of. You must be willing to suffer for it. I'm going to say this again. If you are to achieve anything in this world, you must be willing to suffer for it. And not that suffering is a requirement of achievement or that you will even have to suffer at all. But in truth, if you are not willing to suffer to actualize your true self, then you are simply not worthy of your true self. This path that leads towards eternal joy is paved by denying temporary happiness. And my nobility, this is why it's important to have these guidelines or these philosophies, because most of the world's so-called spiritual philosophies ain't teaching this truth. And that's why people are lost on their spiritual path and they're not even really experiencing anything spiritual. It's an illusion. Because if you really want to experience who you are, this path that leads towards eternal joy is paved by denying temporary happiness. It is the power of one's creative spirit that brings non-physical ideas into physical manifestation. During this process, the intelligence of the physical body doubts and fears the activities of the spirit, and this conflict is what causes suffering. Decide now who you are going to be and stick with that. For when you, spirit, are in conflict with the desires, the cravings, the fears, and the doubts of the physical body, such conflict confuses the mind and then nothing gets done. I'm going to read that again. For when you, spirit, are in conflict with the desires, cravings, fears, and doubts of the physical body, such conflict confuses the mind and then nothing can get done. You must decide right now if you truly are who you say you are. If you are an MC for real, then you should be doing nothing else but actualizing yourself as you truly are. Everyone and everything is indeed second to the actualization of your true self. But what does this mean for real? It means this. Are you willing to give up all worldly desires for the actualization of your true self? Or are you going to give into the demands of the physical world and its hold on your physical body? It is just that simple. Sure, you may have to get a job to support your family or live somewhere that you do not really want to live. However, these decisions are always temporary and should only be a last resort. When you make this decision in your life for real, the whole young and old universe, you, comes to your aid. Yes, in the beginning, there will be an adjustment period where the physical body will rebel and life itself will seem to be too hard to bear. But hang on. After a short while, your true self shall begin to emerge. Once you become you, which is everything in existence, then everything in existence must obey you because it actually is you. Your sight changes, and behold, you can see. You are your daily events. You are your day. You now see that when the sun rises and creates a new day, that everyone has a different experience in that same day according to their own perceptions. For if the concept of a day truly existed outside of yourself, as most people believe, everyone would have the experience that the day wanted them to have. Everyone would have the same experience in a day, and in many ways, people do share the same daily experiences. They're plugged into the matrix, my nobility. That's why they're having the same daily experiences, because they're being programmed to, they're allowing themselves to be programmed to more accurately. However, the truth is that you do not live within the day. The very reality of the day lives within you. So any interpretation you have of your day is undoubtedly true for you, as well as those who take part in your day. Wake up, hip-hoppa, you are your day. Speak to the intelligence of your day. Tell it what you want and how you would like it to present itself to you, and expect an answer. With an awareness of your seventh sense, you become the very day itself. Everything that goes on in your day first goes on in you. Therefore, when you bring peace to yourself through the habits of your divine performances, you are actually speaking the secret language of peace to the intelligence of your day. My nobility, rise up into your true nature. Seek God. Know this: the seventh sense is a sense of being one's whole self. It starts with you being who you say that you are. You can be anything. So why not be exactly who you see yourself as? The problem for most people is that they cannot be their true selves. And this is the closing part. This is the most important part right here. Paragraph 99. This is what happens. The problem for most people is that they cannot be their true selves because of the consequences related with being one's true self. Everyone would be their true selves if such consequences as loss of employment, expulsion from school, divorce, death, argument, etc. were not looming in the background of one's decision to be oneself. See, that's all fear of death there. Fear and or doubt are always at the root causes as to why people don't actualize themselves. Attachment is another hindrance. Ignorance is another. However, all of these hindrances are indeed illusions created by our own minds. In truth, you really don't know what will actually happen if all you did was be you. Something great can actually happen to you. Your friends and family may even accept you more. Why do you believe that it is difficult to be you? What are the real obstacles? Ask yourself, why do I immediately envision disaster whenever I think of being the real me or expressing my real feelings? Why am I not inspired to overcome when faced with an obstacle? Why do I believe that in a challenging situation I will lose or be hurt? Why do I believe this? What you think can turn out to be the worst experience may actually turn out to be exactly what you need to survive. And most of the time, this is exactly what happens. My nobility. This is it right here. What you think can turn out to be the worst experience may actually turn out to be exactly what you need to survive. And most of the time, this is exactly what happens. Face your fears. If you are truly pursuing your purpose, nothing can stop or hinder you from achieving such a purpose. Do not base your expectations as to what may happen to you upon what may have happened to others, even those doing the same things as yourself. Right here, this is a shirt. Well, this is write this on your wall. Where others have failed, you will succeed. Your blessing is unique and God is truly with you. My nobility, where others have failed, you will succeed. Remember, your purpose is not only yours, it belongs to God also. Your purpose is God's will and God's activity. Nothing on or in the earth can stop or hinder the divine will of God. And once you feel this, you are in your seventh sense. You expect your spirit reality. You have taken total responsibility for yourself, knowing that God is responsible for you, that God is ultimately guiding our direction. For it is the responsibility of every attuned hip-hop activist upon the path of self-actualization to develop his or her seventh sense. For your society is yours to create and shape. Everything makes a difference. The question is, what kind of productive difference are you making in your community? For when you realize that every moment of your life affects every other moment of your life, you shall become more aware of the choices that you make, create in life. James Allen points out in his book, As a Man Thinketh, man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. My nobility, there is a warning here. There is a warning here, my nobility. Look at these last two sentences here, really this last sentence here. You see the gold at the end of the rainbow. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. That's the rainbow bridge. By the right choice and true application of thought, by the right choice, see that? And true application of thought. Application of thought, are you hip to your hop? That's intelligent movement. Man ascends to the divine perfection. That's the rainbow bridge. And here's the warning though, my nobility. And this is so profound because this is what takes out some of the best people I've ever known. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. That's the warning. That's how important this is. Ascend to divine perfection or descend below the level of the beast. It's a choice. For it is always our decision who we become in the world. God has already made us perfect in spirit. Now it is up to us. Look at that. God has already made us perfect in spirit. Now it is up to us to consciously unite with God's vision of us. For it is obvious that God intends for us to be hip-hop in our time. So with this awareness, KRS has become hip-hop conscious of itself. I always say, so with this awareness, and that's so true, and I can say it now. So with this awareness, ZIN URU, ZIN URU has become hip-hop conscious of itself. Can you put your name there and say it and mean it? Like I say that and I mean it. So with this awareness, Zen has become hip-hop conscious of itself. And such is the seat of our power and strength in the material world as hip-hop is. And as you can see, it works. And there it is. Whoo, and there it is, my nobility word. And there it is. Like that philosophy, this philosophy that we just read, the part 1, 2, and 3, is what empowered me it's what pointed me to my self-empowerment. The book itself can only empower those who put it to use. The words are only like you have to put it to use. You have to be it. You know, you have to be it. And so anytime the things start happening in life and you have a sound philosophy, you have something you could just turn back to and say, oh, okay, word, this is why I'm going through this. And this is what the outcome will be. Let me walk like this. Let me walk in this character. Let me do this. And what I love about this philosophy, or what I respect about this philosophy, and what I appreciate most about this philosophy, is that it's growing. Intelligent movement, hip-hop, it's a real experience. It doesn't just live within a book or a CD or a lecture or a message. It's an experience that one is continuously having when one's driving, when one's experiencing death, when one's experiencing life. And there's no end to the lesson. The lesson is always being learned. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. That's why we're here. This is the experience. It's to be experienced and to have an experience. Are you experienced? Jimi Hendrix album. Are you experienced? Boom. Are you experienced? Yo, if you haven't listened to that, that is some psychedelic rock at its, that's like it. Like, Are You Experienced from Jimi Hendrix. Wow, what a great album. Every hip-hopper should have a copy and have listened and know, are you experienced? This is a side note, but this is very important. I think that the dopest artists that I know in hip-hop who make hip-hop music, MCs and producers, are the ones who listen to a variety of music styles. They don't just listen to rap music over and over and R&B over and over and then just keep recycling the same sounds and the same ideas over and over and over. It's just boring. We see it all over the place. But like finding different styles of hooks or concepts or the way you use your voice or production or what to sample, all of those little things, it's a wide world of sounds and adventure out there. There's not even just getting that inspiration from music. It can come from nature. It can come from, industrial warehouses with, you can smack some steel with a hammer and and turn that into a snare. There's just so many ways to create authentic, organic music. I was listening to yesterday. I was driving around running some errands, and it was evening drive home, and I was listening to the Inner Mind's Eye time from Leaders of the New School, and I was just listening to the production. I was like, wow, this is so amazing that this production exists, because modern producers, they don't replicate that sound. And shout out to all my producers out there, but that sound, that boom bap sound, that New York, that just grimy sound, like very rare, very, very rarely do you hear that sound produced. I think some of it has to do with the time and space that they were in that was creating that sound, but also because everything's become so easy with the pads and the samples and everything given to everybody already. Where back then you had to be a lot more creative to make that, to really, it's an art form that hasn't been lost completely, but it should be given life again. The art of sampling, the art of bringing sounds from and making that hardcore boom bap, hip hop music like that. There's an empowering soul force in that style of drums and in that style of music that it's timeless. It's timeless. And to bring you to it, to bring your expression to it, for those who are boom bap in their heart and soul. It's just a side note there. And really just talking about the music and the sound and the light of life and our expression and how we express ourselves and our discipline, which we called, what was the other word? Spiritual. I got to bring that back up into my head. I actually have to look at it because instead of calling it discipline, calling it boy, I totally forgot where it was at. For this is why, I think it's spiritual training. Okay, spiritual training. Somebody's out there's like, Zin, it's spiritual training, I remember. Spiritual training. Like discipline, perform discipline, but discipline seen through the lens and the sight of spiritual training. That's what it's all about. That's what, for me, as an MC, spiritual training, I've realized that all the so-called demons, all the so-called sin, all that so-called, that dies with us when we die. It's truth that is eternal. It's the light of God, the sound of God. It's the crystal of God. You know, it's the perfection of God. That's eternal. All the other stuff is temporary. You know? So forgive. 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 Forgive those. You know? Forgive your mom and your dad or whoever hurt you. Forgive them. For your sake and for their sake. Don't ever, you know, I used to teach it more, you know, forgiveness is about, you know, you forgive them for you, so you let go. And that's profound. But you know what? This is where mercy comes in. This is where love comes in. This is where compassion comes in. Forgive them for yourself and for them. Set them free for them. You know? How do you know how you would be if you were born in their shoes, in their place, in their circumstances? You know, forgive those in our lives who've harmed us or hurt us. It's the right thing to do. It's the divine thing to do. It's the God thing to do. It's a holy thing to do. If you got somebody right now that you need to forgive and you don't even know how to forgive them, I'll tell you a great exercise to say, you know what, God? I'm willing to forgive this person. I don't even know how to forgive him right now, but I'm willing to do it. That sets you on the path. That sets us right on the path towards forgiveness, and the forgiveness will come. The forgiveness will reveal itself by just being willing to forgive. But you got to be willing to forgive. And God knows if you're willing or not willing. God willing. God knows if you're willing. That's God willing. So forgive that person. Forgive that person that hurt you. If they're still hurting you, get yourself to safety. Get out of that situation, whatever you got to do in that situation. But forgiveness while it's happening even. It will help speed up the process. It will help swiftly move the process. It'll be like water, my friend. My nobility, as you go forward this week, life is such a gift. Hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. Forgive them. Talk to them. Let them know that. Life is the lesson, and the lesson is life. You're going to be learning a lesson this week, and the lesson is learning us. It's wonderful, my nobility. It's perfect. But it's also be very mindful of the real, clear, and present danger around us. As God force and God beings, we have to realize and not walk through life with rose-colored glasses. We have to look at this reality for what it is and what can possibly happen in this reality, and that God allowed that to happen and allows that danger to exist for a reason and for a purpose. So if we deny the consequences, we cannot deny, we may deny, but we can't deny living with those consequences. Those consequences and those actions, there's real consequences in life. So be mindful how you move and navigate and what you think and what you feel. What we think and what we feel is so important. But my nobility, there are tools that God has given each and every one of us to help us navigate through this environment, be empowered through this environment, be enlightened through this environment, and to see God's perfection in this environment. My nobility, go forward this week in health, in love, in awareness, in wealth, in peace, and prosperity. I love you, Dad. And there it is. Hey! Oh, man, just hug yourself. Give that love to yourself. Feel that. That's God. That's love. That's peace. That's all that there is God going on daily. And there it is. Hip,